Welcome to Lounging with Laurie. This is the pep talk you didn't know you needed. Here I share bold truths, personal stories, not just mine, of course, but from some incredible guests as well. This is our nudge to keep moving ourselves towards the life we actually want. So stick around and join me on the journey. We're actually aiming for the 5% club, whether we talk about it or not. I was listening to a podcast the other day about AI, and whilst I was listening to it, driving my car, something they said really landed. They were talking about all the auto-generated emails that everyone's receiving these days and messages that people are sending out as well. And what I'm finding is, and what I was listening to, is how, as business owners, they don't even bother reading them anymore because the person who's writing them loses credibility straight away to them in their eyes. And they said that they can instantly tell that it's written by AI, which, as I said, it kills this credibility straight away. And I was just nodding along because I'm seeing this as well. So much so, actually, that I feel like everyone's using the same words. And I don't know if you're seeing this as well. There's the same structure, the same tone in these emails. Everyone's trying to be positive and, really supportive, but it no longer sounds authentic. And I mean, generally, if someone is writing an email to you, particularly if you know them, if it's their words, if it doesn't feel real, and if it doesn't feel like or sound like them. But of course, this made me pause for a little minute because I feel like we're in this weird place right now where AI can write anything from, your basic bios, your emails, your Instagram captions. It can generate whole websites, and obviously it can do a lot more than all of that as well. And of course, I use it as well. In fact, I call ChatGPT Charles. Lauren and I kind of refer to him as our digital husband, and we joke about it all the time, actually. But anyway, that conversation reminded me that somewhere along the way, even myself, I've stopped trusting that my voice was enough. In this episode, I want to talk about what happens when we start hiding behind these automations and when we trade in this connection for a polished, unauthentic version of ourselves. So I thought I might cover the slow confidence leak that happens when we rely too much on tools, why your voice is more powerful when it's messy and authentic, and how to start trusting yourself again, like especially if you've gone a little bit quiet behind the scenes and you're hiding for cover. So I ask you, have you noticed it too? Is this what you're seeing? I mean, I certainly see it in the newsletters that I'm receiving from all the different people. And I also see it across Instagram, LinkedIn, and all these spaces as well. The captions, the emails, and now I'm actually receiving text messages like this as well. And they all sound the same. Everyone's using the same words. I guess to us and to them, it seems polished, it's professional and quite pleasing. But also it's a little lifeless. They're boring in my personal opinion. Now, I love a good tool and I love my Charles, my digital husband. I mean, I run many businesses now, so I'll take all the help that I can get, particularly if it's going to save me some time, which, is the one thing I don't have much of. So we've named him Charles, and my bestie Lauren and I, we call him our work husband. And, when we're having our meetings these days, we say things like, have you run that by Charles yet? I just want you to grab all that information and throw that into Charles and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we have a little bit of fun using it and everything like that. But here's what's happened. The other day I was reviewing something that I personally had written, and I noticed, and it really hit me, I guess, that it didn't actually sound like me. It didn't feel like me. I mean, I write how I write, and my friend Lauren, she can write like me too. She knows me in and out. But some AI generated tool can't. It doesn't know me. It doesn't know my feelings. It doesn't know my thought patterns. It doesn't know, my history, my knowledge, my future intent. It only knows what I tell it. But what I realized was that I'm not the only one. So everywhere I look, it's the same phrases. But I ask you, where's the you in that space? Where's your voice, your quirks, your stories? That's what people are drawn to. They're drawn to you. particularly even if it's just, sending a text message. So I've made this little vow to myself. I won't sacrifice my voice for perfection or for the illusion of perfection because my stories, my personality, my crazy, chaotic messiness, that's what actually connects with people. It's not whether I've used the perfect hook or, the right call to action, or I've dotted my I's, crossed my T's, and put some nice grammar in there. The problem with outsourcing everything, though, is that we start forgetting or even having that confidence in ourselves that we already have the answers. We know the information and the detail. And that's what I'm starting to find now is that people are losing confidence to even reply to messages, to reply to emails through fear of saying the wrong thing. And so, you start to lose trust in your own thoughts. What if I say the wrong thing? And so then you go, well, I'm just going to pop that into ChatGPT or some sort of other AI. We've got Gemini access now as well, where it writes the response for you. But slowly and surely, the confidence in general in our ability to be able to communicate and to connect and trust ourselves is fading. And I'm noticing it all around me. And not necessarily by what they say, but how they're saying it. So, and it's frustrating me. And that's why I'm having this little chat today. Everything is over polished. Everything is, catering to everybody's needs and feelings. And it just doesn't feel human to me. It feels curated. It's not conversational. So now everything that I'm reading, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the trademarks behind, an AI generated email. And of course, when I see that, I don't necessarily trust it. And that's a big deal. That's an issue because if we lose trust, and particularly in ourselves and in others, we lose the very thing that makes our relationships work. So the big takeaway for me here is it's okay to get help from AI. As I said, I'm still doing it myself, but don't let it steal your voice because you are more than just a word count and you're not a template and you don't need to be perfect. Your own words, your own stories, they will create real impact. So just sound like you, be you, own you. Very simply, there is nothing wrong with wanting to sound smart or, being able to articulate yourself better. But when your voice starts to sound like a customer service chatbot, I think we've got a problem. I think for humans as people, we don't fall in love with perfect sentences and perfection so much, not many of us, I don't think, but we do fall in love with energy. When you think about your people, there's little quirks that they have, and you just love them. I call them cutesies as well, little cutesies that your friends, have. And that's just so authentic to them. And that's their personality and it's their truth. So we don't want to shun that down and we don't want people to hide behind it. And you're going to have lots of little cutesies yourself. So you don't want to get rid of those. A few weeks ago, I was done just trying to craft the polished, really good message. So I've decided I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not checking my tone. I'm not overthinking punctuation. And in fact, if you see an email or these days that comes through with a spelling error, you can probably guarantee that that is an authentically written email. And personally, I like those now. I like them more than I like the perfect sentences. So anyway, with my messaging myself, I've started to, I guess, in my messages, I am speaking as I would speak to a person. I'm blunt when I need to be, of course. I'm cheeky when I feel like it. I'm a little bit messy or I can't get the words out like this. I've had a couple of meetings and even just catch ups with coffee. And, someone asks me a very interesting question about what's going on in the region at the moment, which, there's a lot going on. And I'm trying to explain it, and I just literally couldn't get the words out. I'm like, I hope you can understand me, my friend, because I've got literally no words left this morning. Had a stressful day, obviously. But she got me, thankfully. So she got what I was saying. But that was real and it was authentic. And, people respond better to that. I think there's a warmth that comes from clunky and chunky, but honesty, right? I don't know. I don't know what your feelings are of a voice note. I've got a couple of friends that always send me voice notes. And of course, there is such a good, positive, powerful thing about a voice note, and it also can be extremely annoying. So for me, more often than not, I can't, if I'm driving, I can't necessarily listen to the voice note because I can't touch my phone or I can't read it, or I'm in, with other people and I can't, play it out loud, because someone else will hear it. However, the power in sending a voice note, even if, like in my case, your dog's barking in the background or your voice is shaking a little bit because you're sitting on the treadmill as you send it, that's normality. That's the kind of connection that cuts through everything else. And on the flip side to that, you can always tell when someone's run their responses through a filter, as I've said. So the voice note, as you know, that's authentic, unless they're sitting there looking and reading through a script to tell their voice note, which is, I think, uncommon unless it's business related. I was working on a project, actually, I want to tell you a story. I was working on a project just recently. And so I sent a message to give an update to a colleague. And it was just very casual, nothing too formal. And I said, I'm just touching base. I want to tell you what I got up to today, rah, rah, rah. And then I get this reply, which was firstly longer than the normal reply I get from this person. They were full sentences, like normally he replies with 2 words or something like that, but this was full sentences and it addressed every sentence and topic that I had said in my initial text message. And it had manners as well. And let's face it, when we're text messaging, you can't tell tone, and I get that. But when you text message, not too often there's, heaps of manners in there and full sentences that are perfectly structured. But this response was, and I'm like, oh my gosh. On top of that, actually, it had the elongated hyphen that ChatGPT does too. I'm like, oh my goodness. He has put this through ChatGPT to respond to me. Now I was thinking, now is that because he's trying to be a better communicator? In which case I think that's fantastic that he's at least acknowledged and trying, but at the same time, it wasn't that person. It was the words he doesn't use those words. Anyway, I just knew instantly it was not him. So I kind of just went, well, thanks for that, Charles. And I guess that's the risk. When we polish so hard, we try to be so perfect or live up to standards, or expectations from other people. We are literally removing all the fingerprints of ourselves. We're losing the thing that made it worth reading or listening to in the first place. So if you've been sitting here listening, nodding along, maybe realizing just how often you're second guessing yourself before you speak to somebody, you're just casually and slowly losing that confidence yourself. Or you're even thinking how many times you've leaned in to use AI to say what you already know how to say. It's okay to lean into it, but you already know how to say most of this stuff. I just want to remind you that you can do this without it. Your words matter. Your stories matter. And they land, they connect with real people. And your energy, more importantly, of course, it's magnetic. That's what we're drawn to. As long as it's actually yours, though. And if you've lost yourself a little bit lately, I just want you to also know that you're not alone. But the good thing is you don't have to stay there. So as I have started doing at the end of these short, sharp little podcasts these days, my little pep talks, or in this case, probably more of a rant, I've got my little cut it, keep it, claim it activity I like to do. This is one of my favorite clarity tools. It's a little reset I use anytime I'm feeling overwhelmed or if I'm stuck or I'm stretched too thin. These are the simple prompts I use, including with my mentees. So if you're listening right now, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what's no longer serving you? For me, it's over editing everything to sound like I'm somebody else. So I'm saying goodbye to perfection and the perfection pressures. My next question is, what's grounding you right now? And for me, I think more importantly for me, it's the moments where I speak from the heart, because that's what connects to people and, to stop overthinking. My third question is, what are you stepping into next? And for me is confidence in my own voice, saying it messy, saying it authentically, and saying it just in my own little Loza way. So that's the cut it, keep it, clean it. And if you want to work on anything a little bit deeper at all, I want you to know that, if you want to work with me personally, I have my Project 5 private mentoring where we go quite deep. It's tailored to help you grow your business, improve your confidence, and obviously gain some very good strategies and clear next step action plan without outsourcing your soul, right? We'll just work as besties. And if you're craving anything else, we also have the Action Accelerator, which is launching in July. And it's where the magic happens. It's a 12 weeks of mastermind. If you want to know more about that, please reach out. Otherwise, for now, I just want to leave you with big dreams, small steps. Let's get moving. Keep showing up, keep backing yourself, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you for joining us on the Sisterhood Collective podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And if you want to be the first to hear what is new at Sisterhood Collective, you can find out more on our Instagram, or you can sign up to receive our weekly newsletter and let the good times continue to roll. Now it's time to turn your clear vision into bold action. I'm Laurie Drummond, your host, and until next time, keep striving to live that best life. Take care, and we'll see you soon.